Daddy, you sure you know what you're doing?
Peace, everybody. Welcome to the AV Experience Podcast. I am your host, Alvando Vinson, also known as AV. Yeah.
Last time I checked, I'm still hot.
And we are going to jump right into it with, I have a guest caller, Toya Covington. And yeah.
Hello.
We are going to, we're going to jump right onto a post that she had. And I have that post, and we're going to listen to it. I'm going to pause and hit on some key points. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, wait a minute. Before I get started, we're going to do this at the beginning and at the end. Introduce, because you have a show. Introduce your show.
My show is called Shop Talk that I host every Thursday. We go live at 7:45. And of course, the motto, let me tell you the motto really quick. It's a place, of course, that is safe for men, but I'm a firm believer that when our men are healed, our families are healed, and our communities are healed.
Right. And that's what I was looking for. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and start this post. This is the young lady.
So glad we live in a generation of women who will get divorces and not stick with the kind of men that treat them bad. Whereas in the 50s and 60s, these women stayed with these men for a lifetime, knowing how unhappy and unfaithful the men were.
So with that being said, right there, you want to talk about it? What you want to say about that?
Okay, so listen, of course, I love our women. I love women, but I'm first to scream that women have not always been innocent. Right. With this post, what she said, it's a dynamic that has to be understood about the time that she is referring to. You're talking about women who stayed with men for several different reasons.
Right.
First of all, they understood in marriage, you're going to go through some things.
Yes.
And some women were okay with more things than others. Now, don't get me wrong. If you are in an abusive relationship, I definitely want to make sure that this is screamed to the highest point. Mm-hmm. If you are in an abusive relationship, physically, emotionally, financially, because we know that is a thing as well, definitely get away from that type of person. However, in this day and time, we understand that women file the majority for divorce, and it's over things that our aunts, our grandparents knew how to endure.
Right. I'm with you.
Because it was things that they had to endure.
Right. Or I wouldn't say had to endure. They chose to because they understood. They understood that being married is not 100% a happy time, or you know what I'm saying? There's uncomfortable times. And like you said, if it was non-abusive physically or mentally, I agree with that. Now, financially, back then, men were primarily the breadwinners, I guess you could say.
Yes. So
for the women who had to stay due to that alone, then, so that was that I can't speak on. I if you stand in the situation due to financial, back then, if you had to stay because you couldn't afford to leave or had nowhere to go, because some families were tight back then, so some females could leave and go back home or go stay go stay with family or whatnot. So that was a big thing. But staying in an abusive marriage, physically and mentally, I'm not with that.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing that I will say to kind of correct, like I said, that they had to endure what they chose to endure. For instance, just an example, we all know. This is probably not the greatest example. We all know somebody whose grandpa got a child on the other side of town.
Right.
Women chose to stay with that.
Yeah.
for whatever reason. They chose to stay with it. However, some things as simple as we don't know how to communicate is becoming the result of a divorce in this day and time. And
Right.
to me, those are things that you can overcome and that our grandparents chose to overcome for the sake of marriage
And children. Yes.
and children.
Yep. Yep. Because just because he had a family outside of the home doesn't mean he wasn't still taking care of the home.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So let's continue with what this
But
young
me
lady said.
personally, I pray for a generation of women.
I'm gonna stop right there because when she said pray for, in my head it automatically, when people talk like this, it automatically snaps as pray on. That's just my own
Yeah.
thing. Hold on.
That will walk away from a man at the first red flag, that will walk away when you know that it's not compatible, long before you get pregnant by him, long before you have to go to the altar or go through a divorce or have to go to a therapist because of all of the trauma that was caused to you in your life.
Okay. So she's talking as if females don't contribute to or don't have any red flags. Females don't contribute to any problems. Female stuff don't stink. That's what I got from that right there.
Once again, I'm one of those women who will tell you really quick. I mean, and that's probably a portion of how Shop Talk got created, was that women are not as innocent as we painted them to be.
Right.
And we're not always the victim. And I can say that I agreed with her in that portion. Of course, you know, we always want to be proactive instead of reactive.
Well, okay, so you can't walk away from the first red flag or one or two red flags, depending on the severity of the flag. Because
Exactly.
usually when people meet initially, you're meeting a representative. So you're not going to, you have to read between the lines to catch flags, I guess you could say. But
And not only that, sometimes somebody's red flag is not necessarily a red flag. It's how we're triggered.
right. I'm with you with that. I'm with you. Yeah. So walking away, we'll never get with anybody. It's like everybody is living in harmony, I guess you could say, if that was the case. We'll never reproduce. From her perspective, females wouldn't get with anybody to get married or have children if you're walking away at the slightest bit of uncomfortable or slightest bit of, just unfamiliar territory. You never get to know anybody.
Or inconvenience.
Inconvenience, yes.
I pray for a generation of women who are so comfortable with who they are, who know how valuable and powerful they are outside of marriage, so much so that they're actually okay with being alone.
So I said in your post that value is determined by outside of yourself. You can't be valuable to yourself. When we're talking about relationships, you can have high self-esteem. You could think highly of yourself, but you don't have any value outside of yourself. Like I said in your post, water isn't valuable to water. Air isn't valuable to air. It's only valuable to the people or to the things that need it.
Right.
So a female can have high self-esteem, but she's not valuable to the evolution of life unless she's reproducing or contribute. She's a philanthropist going around the world doing great things for the evolution or the contribution to life, I guess you could say.
Now I will say that, when you have women who have that type of thing, that whoever she's connected to they'll be able to find some value in her. It's
Right.
not just about, the reproduction and family and things of that nature. Whomever she's around and she's able to influence in a positive way, they're gonna find some value in her.
Right. But she said you have to find value in yourself to be enough value in yourself to be alone, to know how to be alone.
True. I mean, I'm not going to try to substitute her word
Okay.
for, because to me, that would equate self-love. Where's your self-love? Not depending on something outside of yourself. So that way you can say, oh, yeah, I am worth something. You have to know that first.
Well, okay, so self-love, high self-esteem, all of that self stuff is great, necessary, and really positive. But when it comes to value, that's another realm. That's another part of life that can only be determined by somebody outside of yourself.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all she had to say. And hold on, let me see.
Even if it means that they never marry or they never bear children, because they understand that the value of a woman is not contingent on if she's been married or if she's bore children.
Yeah. So that's what we just got finished saying. If
Right.
she's not married, she's doesn't have any children, she's valuable to another person. But as far as the evolution, as the continuation of a positive life, or like I said before, if she's not going around the world doing something that changes lives or whatnot, her value is not all that high, especially to be alone. Now, I know some single females that are alone and all they have is their money. I know folk like that, but that's not valuable. I mean, that's not valuable to me, in my opinion. That's not valuable.
Yeah, being by yourself and only having your money, that can, I can't say that is valuable. What I can't say that's valuable. I do agree with you on that. However, I can understand the fight and the point of, we don't want to be seen just as incubators, reproductive systems, for people. Like, we have more to us than that. However, this is with the understanding. I hope that people understand this portion. We understand that when we are sought after by the opposite sex, that's a portion of what they look at, especially if they want to reproduce and create a legacy.
Right.
So that is valuable to them.
Right. Now, I will say, I'm going to piggyback off of the late, great Samuel.
I knew you were coming with him. I knew it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know till just now. As far as when we was talking about value, he hit a point. You know, if a female comes with a ready-made family, children, more than one daddy, never been married, or so forth and so on, her value on the market is a little low. Now, she don't necessarily have to be alone. I'm not saying that, but you know, hey, you all of us have value. All of us have value to somebody else. It's just how much of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just how much. And what she was talking about, and all the females that speak that language about females being alone because of, you know, today's society or whatnot, I'm not with that. I just cannot see that. And I'm not religious, but I am familiar with religion-based organizations and the Bible and stuff, and you know, that's not biblical.
That's out of order. Exactly.
Yeah, it's out of order. You're right. So that was that. I just get tired of hearing that on Facebook. Females.
I'm gonna tell you, it's a battle. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off,
Okay.
but it is a battle on Facebook, and it's one that I feel like is going to be talked about for forever, because people don't want to yield that we're equal. We have equal battles. We have equal things that we want, and you know, when I say equal, that we are both battling some things. Like, one cannot be without the other.
Right.
Not like you just choose to be a monk or a nun or what have you. Okay, cool. However, if you're going to live in this society, you have to understand that, as you not being a perfect person, there's not anybody else that's out here that's perfect.
That's right.
And we all have everything that we are going through. And it's the same, but it just looks different according to what gender you are talking about. You know, once again, women don't want to be seen as just an incubator, or, you know, she doesn't want to be talked about if she makes money. And, you know, there's just things that women don't want to continue to battle. and it's highlighted more than the struggles that men have gone through in the past and currently. I mean, men want their voices heard on, we just don't want to be a wallet. We have quote unquote feelings too.
Right.
We have things that we deal with, and we're not second class. Men are tired of being treated as second class citizens. And when you hear women who are trying to promote good values and good morals to other women, it shouldn't be at the let's put men down and act like we have to live without them. We can definitely build women up without putting somebody else down.
Thank you. Yes, most definitely. I'm with that. Yes. Now, speaking about that, you made mention before we went on air about women being an embarrassment. Did you find that post?
Yes, I did actually, and I reposted it about how there's this one post, and this young lady said she challenged like several women on the question of, would you prefer to have a trying father who basically cannot pour out, financially to you or the child with help, or would you prefer a man who can support you financially or support the child financially, but just not be a present father? And a lot of women, she said, all of the women chose the check over the father.
Now,
And go ahead,
I'm
I'm sorry.
Were these black women?
Yes, black women. These were black women.
Okay.
And she herself said, it's embarrassing to be a black woman sometimes. And I know that's going to ruffle some feathers, but I can agree with her on a lot of those terms, because the mindset that we are starting to develop and that is being perpetuated over and over and over and over again, so much evidence that's out here on social media. Now, I do want to go on the other side of this to say we have some beautiful black women who represent us very well. So please hear me. And of course, they don't speak for all of us.
Right.
They do not. The women that we are talking about, they don't speak for all of us. The ones who are out here, no, give me money versus, the baby daddy, because I don't want to deal with the headache. But what about the child? Do we understand that money doesn't bring the balance that a child needs from a mother and a father?
Well, I think they're not thinking about that. They're not thinking about the children. Those females that think like that are not thinking about the children. They're thinking more about themselves.
And I can agree with that. I definitely agree with that, because it's one of those things. It's almost like when you have a single mom who may have the mindset of, hey, can you just be a present dad? I don't care about the money. And he chooses to go off and live his best life, regardless to how much she waters down what his quote unquote responsibility is. Like, can you just come and get him? What about on the weekend? If it was a man saying, oh nah, like, I'm just gonna walk away from the kid, I'm not gonna do nothing, women would be livid. We would not understand that. We would be so, oh well, it's the same fight. I mean, once again, it's just on a different end of the fight. But I just don't get where we've become so cold on what it is that we're choosing. We'd rather for our child to grow up with a check versus a present father and a trying dad who's not perfect. And he's not going to do it the way that you want him to.
Right.
That's where the balance comes in.
Right. I can understand the influence of the government playing its part, playing its role in the psychological warfare on the black family. I can understand that. I don't like it, but I can understand where it came from, where it stems from, because the government is, this is my personal belief.
Okay.
The black family is the most powerful thing on this planet, and the government knows this. So they instituted a program psychological program to break that up. Even what's his name? Hoover said that, head of the FBI. So back then. So I think that still plays a part in government assistance and all the perks and benefits that single women get to leave the father or to have the father out of the picture.
Right.
And it plays a part. It played a big part in females because y'all have the greatest power. I've always said that y'all are the greatest power. But it also played a part in the black male too, of resentment, I guess you could say. We move off of resentment because once the black female chooses a check over presence, that starts resentment. And so that's when, not saying it's right and I don't condone it, but when dudes walk away from their family, I can kind of understand why. It's not always the females, well, it is the females' mentality, but you have to understand that it's not just her. Because I think if it was just her, with no outside influence by government assistance, whatever, I think that the female would be more prone to having a father's presence, their kid's father present, as opposed to money, because today females are making more money. They're making more money, so they can pretty much provide for themselves if they want to.
Right.
So,
you definitely made some good points about, how things got started with, how the father was being removed from the home. I mean, just to tap into that, this is how I think about it. Mm-hmm. Government edged, considering that jobs were scarce at a certain time. And to me, a man is not going to see his family starve. And it's almost like a self-sacrificial thing back then. Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, if my wife and kids can have a place to stay, look, make sure that they got a place to stay, they got whatever. Because right now, I can't provide for whatever the dynamic was in whatever city that they were, that jobs were not available to them.
Okay.
I know that sounds like honorable and heroic, but you do have that is a portion, not saying that was all of the dynamic, mm-hmm. but that's a portion of the dynamic of how things move forward. And of course, like you said, some resentment comes, and to me, resentment comes from both ends. The wife thinking, or the lady thinking, well, there could have been something that you could have done, and him thinking, well, you accepted this, even though I said, and you didn't say, no, baby, don't do that. Let's see how we can do this together. Like, get that figured out. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's a portion of the dynamic. Once again, just fast forwarding to 2024 and where we are now, on one end, I can say I don't know what people think that they're gonna get from child support, because I know people who get $15, they might get $25. Nobody's living off of that, and there are women who want to make. This is coming from the resentment side, depending on who it is that they chose. Listen, if you don't want to be a dad, I'm going to make you. So there's where a lot of that governmental hand gets put into trying to, with a father being on child support. And then when he finally does turn around, if he ever does he have the option to not have to pay anymore?
Well, what do you mean?
To be the present father. Like, okay, so listen, we can get along. Can we get along? Mm-hmm. And me not have to go to us have to go to child support court.
Okay.
Okay.
So once the woman, and this is not right at all, but once the woman takes the man to child support, some dudes, I'm not going to say men, some dudes take that as, okay, I'm paying, so I ain't got to be there.
Yes, they do.
You know what I'm saying? So that in itself ruins the relationship between father and child. Not saying it's the child's fault, not saying it's the mother's fault. It's just the mentality of that particular dude who's accepted that that outcome and chooses, it's a wrong choice, because I believe that, men are important in every child's life. Even as long as the dude is not essaying the child, as long as the dude is not, just beating on the child for abusing the child or whatnot, even if he doesn't have a job, even if he's drinking, even if he's smoking, even if he's doing all of this crazy stuff, let the child be a family. That child will eventually see the wrong and maybe choose another route, or the child may choose the same route. Who knows? But either way it goes, the father is an influence in the child's life.
A very big influence. And to speak to that, I know a lot of moms, when they see the fathers on what they consider the wrong path, they don't want their children to be influenced by that. And they don't want them around that. And they feel like they are protecting, their child by, nah, you can't go over there because they smoke crack over there, whatever extreme.
Well, now, I can understand the extremes.
Yes.
I can understand that. Or putting your child in endangerment. I can understand that. I'm just talking about, he the father is just, outside of being danger, he's just no good.
Yes.
I still say let the father do what he can.
Absolutely. And people who understand and value that dynamic, they make that decision. They do. I mean, I know a lot of women who do make that decision. Girl, he may not be good, but he's a daddy. He may not be this, but he's a father. And those children love their father. And that's the one thing that, like I said, the brown community, the black community is lacking. That balance and that I'm gonna say even that forgiveness and moving yourself out of the equation so that way the child can have both parents.
Right. And you were saying earlier that a 2-parent household is better than you said a 2-parent household will more likely get the exact same results as a father being the parent, or a single father, right? As opposed to a single mother.
Excuse me, because I definitely, yes. Definitely, the video stated that a single father raising a child has the same results as a 2-parent home. And to speak to that comes with the dynamic and the discipline and the structure that the father creates in the home. And let's just be real. Children have a reverential fear of leadership. And I'm a traditionalist in the sense of, when you have a household, let's say, traditional mother, father, children, men are the head of the household.
Right.
And men carry an authority on the inside of them that women don't possess, just like women carry a nurturing side that the children can gravitate to.
Yes. That's real. I'm with that. I don't know if you're familiar with my sound effects, but that's what that is.
I'm getting familiar. But yeah,
Yes.
I mean, and I definitely can understand. I mean, this just speaks to the point of how dads are so important and how men in general are so important. And when they are in their right place, whatever that looks like in their dynamic, then the results are totally different. I know some great single mothers that have raised great children, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back with that one.
Okay.
How I know that them having that male influence is so important. It brings about a discipline that I can't even describe.
So, you're a single mother.
Yes.
Was the father involved in raising your children?
No, he was not. I mean, well, let me say it like this. My ex-husband, up until, let's see, what year is this? I'm going to say 2016. was the last consistent time that my children had with their dad.
Were they old enough to were they old? Were they babies, or were they old, walking and talking and understanding what was happening?
They were ranging from like the age of 5,
Okay.
16, 17.
Okay, so they were influenced. He had an influence on them.
Yes.
At 5, you go to school, so that's the biggest influence. But 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 that's the parents. That's where the parents come in, and those are crucial years. 5 and 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are crucial years for parents. But the children are very influential at those ages.
Right.
So you said he was not present?
No, he was not present. I mean, and when I say, because we did have a move, even before then it was kind of sporadic. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's very important when children are going from the adolescent to the teen years to also have a father in their life, because he can instill a different type of confidence. Mm-hmm. He can instill a different type of, what is the word I'm looking for? Being self-reliant, holding yourself accountable. And I'm just thinking about, I guess, their dad and my current relationship.
Okay.
The dynamic that he brings. Okay. And the conversation is different. So to me, it's important even in those years to have a consistent father figure in your children's life.
Yes, most definitely. Okay. So, hold on. Let me take a break, because I have to give me 60 seconds.
Okay.
Daddy, you sure you know what you're doing?
All right, thank y'all. I'm going to take a short break, a 60-second break. I'll be right back. And, this is the AV Experience.
Yeah, well, last time I checked, I'm still hot.
It's your wedding day, you're in the moment, and you're shining brighter than the sun. This is a day you should never forget. Unfortunately, memories fade over time, but I'm here to put your mind at ease with a professional video that will bring that moment back to life every time you watch it. You can even share it with family and friends so you all can smile together. Contact AV, your professional videographer, at www.avfilmsolutions.com. That's avfilmsolutions.com.
Daddy, you sure you know what you're doing?
And we're back. AV Experience. On the phone, talking with Toya Covington. You know what? Did you want your whole name out there? I mean, it's
out there now. Yeah. It's okay though. It's okay.
Yeah, because it's on Facebook. I mean, you got your whole name on Facebook. But if you don't want it on there, I can take it off.
No, it's cool.
Okay. All right.
It's all right.
Okay. So we are talking initially about a post that she posted about a female basically promoting females being single and good with it. And then we ventured off into basically what we talking about?
We're talking about how single parent fathers who are the single parent has a turnaround of the same dynamic as a 2-parent home, which was with keeping their children out of the system, like prison and jail and things of that nature, and pretty much off of the governmental assistance as well. And we already know that it's hard for men to qualify for governmental assistance if they need it, even if they need it.
Right.
So a father raising their child as a single parent, just to repeat it, has the same result as a 2-parent home. And in my opinion, it's due to the discipline that and structure that men bring to the table.
Yes. And to further back up that statement about the assistance from the government. So earlier I was saying that the government pushed the man out of the house, out of the black family, the core unit, and to further back that up, you hit on how it's harder for men to get government assistance as opposed to females, and
Yes.
that is because the system, that was the agenda. For a man to get help is going against the agenda of breaking up the family. So I think that is why the system made it harder for men to get government assistance as in comparison to females.
Well, I mean, of course, we know that the woman's dynamic for a very long time was she was the underdog when it came to the male versus female. So we all know that laws and rules, depending on what they are geared more to women.
Yes.
And the dynamic has not changed as far as for like the laws and the rules, even though the dynamic of who's a single parent, who makes the most money, who's more educated, who they're already deemed who will automatically win in court. Those dynamics haven't been changed and challenged. And to me, in 2024, that definitely needs to be challenged and tweaked and looked at and changed essentially, because it's not just women out here who are the single parents. Now, and that's by default. Let me say it like that, because we know that if you have a mother versus father in court, you have to do everything that you can to prove a mother unfit. She's automatically going to have the child. However, that may not be the case. The dad could be the better parent, but proving him fit is going to be hard for the children. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him to win that battle.
Right. So essentially, the system did win that battle because, like you said, that particular part of the system hasn't changed as far as court and all that stuff has not changed. But the dynamic of the female being more educated and doing more things now and able to provide or whatnot has changed from back in the day.
Yes.
But the laws have not. So, the system has achieved its goal, I guess you could say. So now it is up to us. It is up to us to change to change that.
And my question is, how are we working to change that? And how are we, because of course, changing the system is not hard. You got to, it's a challenge. Let me say it like that. You got to get the right people in place, pushing the right agenda. But before and along with us doing what's right as well, once again, we have this whole dynamic of man versus woman and who's more of the victim, when we all have a plight. We all have our own things that we deal with. So how do we fix this as a community? It has been a long running question.
So we fix ourselves. We don't need the system to tell us what to do and how to act. We know how to act. We know what to do. We just have to take it upon ourselves, take accountability for ourselves and our actions to fix it. We have to start making better choices and picking partners. We have to evaluate and evaluate ourselves first to where we can make better decisions in picking a partner or whatnot. And everybody has to be accountable for their actions and the way that they live. Now, I do believe that therapy, no matter how it is, where you get it from, therapy does help. And if more of us would get therapy, I think it would open the door, open our eyes to where we can look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, self-evaluate and be like, maybe I do need to change this, or maybe I can change this, or maybe I should look for this in somebody else, or, just changing our mentality and do better. That's men and women.
Absolutely.
We don't need them, especially because, like you said, the way it is now, the reality of it now is females are making money, females are working, females can provide financially. Men are still doing what they always been doing. But I think today's time, men are getting more help and getting more in touch, in tune with their, I don't want to say feminine side, but their emotions. So I can't speak to the younger generation, but the folk around my age and a little younger are changing. They're changing for the better, for the most part, I think.
I can agree with you on that. One thing that I will say is the video that we first started discussing, I will say I feel like she was on the right track of saying what you said exactly. Making sure you're holding yourself accountable with your choices. Now, she did go left longer in the video, but I really do feel like she was trying to say, hey, listen, stop going out here and just choosing the wrong person.
Right. But that's hard to do because people, like I said, people present the representative first for the most part.
Absolutely. You gotta give it a chance. And to also make sure that you are holding yourself accountable and, like you said, going to go see a therapist. COVID, the whole shutdown made it very accessible for mental health for people. And on Shop Talk, I'm a firm believer. We promote, the 988 mental health, getting, if you're feeling like you don't have anybody to talk to, there's a way to make sure that you have somebody. Even your job will offer you what is called an EAP, so that way you can go see someone for free. You get so many sessions for free, and I feel like a lot of us are taking advantage of that, especially in our age group, so that way we can change, because we do understand the dynamic of how we was raised versus what we now know what was right and wrong, and we're starting to heal from that. And it's very important that we continue to do that work.
Yes, most definitely. Let's wrap this up. You give your rendition of the best relationship, or your relationship advice. Give the best relationship advice that you can give, as far as being a mother, as far as being a wife, a girlfriend, or whatever, the relationship dynamic. Give your best rendition of it.
I don't know if this is going to be my best, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Okay.
First of all, make sure that you are healed, or that you are in the healing process. I'm a firm believer that you won't be completely healed.
Okay.
It's, trying to do the work on your own, because there's going to be somebody to come in and challenge your triggers. And make sure that you communicate. Open communication without trying to put somebody down, without trying to make them and change them. Make sure that your communication is clear, concise, and it's okay to have a conversation over and over and over again, okay, until you can get an understanding. When you have the right person, it's not nagging. They want to make sure that they hear you out. I would definitely say be lovable. Don't compare the person to your past, not unless it's something that you're absolutely familiar with and it didn't end well. And I will also say, don't let somebody else's red flags be your red flags, because what's a red flag to your friend or to your mom or to society may not be a red flag for you. It could just be something that you have to work through. Nobody's perfect. Seek counseling, if nothing else. If you find somebody that you can rock with, seek counseling if you have to. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to think of some other things after we finish this conversation.
Okay.
And so I'll bounce it to you, but for right now, that's the first few things that came to my brain.
Okay, that was pretty good. And you heard it first from Toya Covington. And before we get off, go ahead and shout out your podcast once again for the folk that missed it.
Absolutely. You can find me on Shop Talk, and you can find that up under my name, LaToya N. Covington, on Shop Talk, on Facebook, and also have a Shop Talk page. We go live every Thursday, hopefully every Thursday, live 7:45 every Thursday. Thank you for the opportunity, Al. Appreciate you.
Hey, no problem. And I want to thank all of my listeners. for tuning in to the AV Experience podcast. I am your host, Alvando Vincent, also known as AV.
Last time I checked, I'm
And
still hot. Real.
till next time, peace.